The savanna stretched endlessly beneath the golden glow of the morning sun, its yellow soil shimmering like a sea of warm dust. Only scattered acacia trees broke the horizon, their long shadows stretching lazily across tufts of dry grass that whispered with each passing breeze. A rare white lion cub tumbled across the open plain, kicking up small clouds of dust with every playful roll. Its fur gleamed like ivory in the early light, soft and unspoiled, and tiny claws dug into the earth as it pounced on a fluttering grasshopper. The cub's small yawn and wobbly steps made it clear how new to the world it still was, innocent and unaware of the dangers that stirred just beyond its sight. Nearby, the cub's mother lay stretched in the shade of a lone acacia, her golden eyes half closed but alert, scanning the horizon with a quiet, steady patience. Every now and then she flicked her ears toward a distant sound, the faint, eerie laughter of hyenas carried on the warm wind. It was soft enough to be ignored, but the subtle tension prickled in the air, a warning that the day's calm was fragile. The mother's tail twitched, brushing over the dust beside her, as though sensing the slightest ripple of movement in the grass beyond. The cub, blissfully unaware, pawed at a small rock and tumbled again, squeaking with delight before shaking the dust from its fur. Birds took flight with sudden flutters, their wings catching the light as they scattered across the horizon, their calls echoing high and bright. The wind shifted, stirring the tall, dry grass, and a faint rustle traveled like a whisper across the savanna. The cub froze mid-step, ears perked, sensing something just out of reach of its young mind. Its tiny body stiffened, eyes scanning the area, but the mother's calm presence reminded it was safe, for now. Yet the shadows beneath the acacias seemed to stretch and curl, hiding shapes that moved with silent, cautious intent. Every instinct in the mother's body remained taut, her muscles coiled for a sudden charge if needed, but she waited, trusting her cub's playfulness would not draw the danger too near. The cub wandered closer to a dry waterhole, its reflection faint in the shallow cracks of parched earth. The bright sunlight danced over its fur, highlighting the softness of its tiny paws pressing into the soil. The mother's gaze never left the horizon, sharp and unwavering, as the cub's tentative steps stirred the dust. Somewhere far off, the hyenas laughed again, a chilling sound that cut through the golden calm like a warning horn. It was distant yet unmistakable, carrying across the plains like a whisper of what could come. The cub yawned and rolled, oblivious, while the mother's eyes flickered with attention that belied the serene scene. As the morning stretched on, the savanna remained still and wide, a fragile world balanced between play and peril. The cub pawed at a tuft of grass, the sun glinting on its fur, while the mother's tail flicked in restless vigilance. The golden plain seemed timeless, but even in this moment of quiet innocence, a single sound, a distant, eerie laugh, hinted at shadows lurking just beyond reach, a silent promise that the savanna's beauty could so easily turn into danger.
The air shifted suddenly, carrying a harsh, rattling laughter that sliced through the morning calm. From the tall, dry grass, a pack of hyenas burst forth, their dark, spotted bodies moving with ruthless precision. The white lion cub froze, ears pinned back, eyes wide and unblinking as the predators closed in. Its tiny paws scraped the yellow soil, kicking up clouds of dust that mingled with the harsh sunlight, turning the plain into a shimmering haze of chaos. Every instinct screamed for flight, but the cub's small frame offered little chance against the circling pack. Rocks and sparse bushes became obstacles, hemming the cub in as snapping jaws and guttural growls filled the air. The mother lion roared in desperation, her powerful body springing forward, claws digging into the earth as she lunged toward the attackers. But the hyenas were many, fast and cunning. They fanned out, cutting off escape routes, darting in and out with predatory agility. Dust rose in twisting columns, each swirl punctuated by a flash of teeth and the cub's panicked cries. Time slowed as the cub stumbled, skidding across the soil, its small frame thrown against a jagged rock, and the world narrowed to the snapping shadows around it. Hope seemed fleeting, slipping away like sunlight behind a gathering storm. Then, from the edge of the battlefield, a deep, resonant roar shook the savannah. A lone adult male lion emerged, his golden mane catching the sunlight, eyes burning with raw intensity. He charged with measured power, each step thundering through the soil, muscles rippling under tense fur. The hyenas froze, uncertainty flashing in their wild eyes as the new threat advanced. In a sudden burst, they scattered, retreating into the dust and shadows from which they had come, leaving the cub trembling and wide-eyed in the golden haze. The mother reached her cub, nudging it with heavy, protective warmth, brushing dust from its fur with gentle but insistent motions. The cub's small body shivered, terror still echoing in its heart, but the presence of the adult lion, standing tall and watchful, offered a fragile sense of safety. The savannah lay in disarray around them, dust hanging in the air, grass flattened, and the distant echoes of the retreating hyenas vibrating in the earth. The golden light painted every movement in sharp relief, highlighting the fear, courage, and raw instincts that had collided in the chaotic encounter. Finally, the mother lowered her body beside her cub, still vigilant but allowing a quiet, protective pause. The cub nestled close, still trembling, while the adult male lion lingered at the edge of the open plain, scanning for any returning threat. The world slowly exhaled, the dust settled, and the swaying acacia trees rustled softly in the wind. In the midst of destruction and fear, life had endured. The cub's wide eyes finally relaxed, and for a brief moment the savannah felt still again, a fragile peace born from courage, instinct, and unexpected allies. The dust was still spinning in the air when the last hyena vanished into the distance. The white lion cub stood frozen at the center of the plain, its small chest rising fast as it struggled to breathe. Every sound felt too loud. The wind, the pounding of its own heart, the scrape of grit beneath its paws. For a moment, the cub did not move at all, as if the savannah itself had asked it to stay still, to wait until danger truly passed. Only seconds earlier, the world had been nothing but teeth, shadows, and fear. Now, slowly, the chaos began to loosen its grip. The cub blinked through dust-clogged eyes, and the sharp edge of panic softened into confusion. Warm sunlight cut through the haze, falling in long beams across the yellow soil. The ground no longer trembled. The laughter was gone. The mother lion reached her cub at last. She pressed her broad head against its small body, breathing in its scent, as if to be sure it was real, alive, still hers. Her rough tongue brushed dust from the cub's face and ears in steady, calming strokes. The cub leaned into her, legs shaking, then sank down beneath the shelter of her chest. In her presence, the fear finally broke. The cub released a small, broken sound, half breath, half cry, and buried its face into her fur. A few steps away, the adult male lion stood tall and silent. His muscles were still tight, his eyes fixed on the open horizon. He did not approach the cub or the mother. Instead, he watched the tall grass, the rocks, the empty space where danger had been. This was not pride or power, it was duty. Only when the wind carried no threat did his stance soften, just slightly. The savannah began to return to itself. Dust drifted down and settled back onto the soil. Dry grass lifted and swayed again, whispering softly in the breeze. Birds returned to the sky, their calls light and distant, as if testing whether it was safe to sing. The afternoon sun warmed everything it touched, turning the plain gold and calm once more. The mother lowered herself beside her cub, her body forming a living wall between it and the open world. The cub lay still now, eyes half closed, its breathing slow and uneven. It was exhausted, not just in body, but in spirit. The danger had passed, but its shadow would linger, teaching lessons the cub did not yet understand. At the edge of the plain, the male lion took one last look. Then, without sound, he turned and walked away, his form fading into the heat and light until he became part of the land again. No roar marked his leaving, no sign remained except safety. As the sun dipped lower, the savanna stretched wide and quiet, both cruel and kind. Life went on, shaped by fear, saved by courage, and held together by bonds stronger than teeth or hunger. Beneath the open sky, the cub slept at last, wrapped in her mother's shadow, while the land watched over them both.